Hello and welcome to Ball Street. Over the last 11 weeks, with your help, we have been constructing the greatest Premier League 11 of all time. Over 38,000 votes have been cast. The team is here. If you're watching every week, you know what the team is already, but we're going to reveal it. It's here.
The big reveal.
There it is. Ta-da! No expense spared. In no way, shape or form was there a rush to get these printed out or cut out. Printed off or cut out by Adam. Sterling work, by the way, sir. Sterling work. So here we are, and what we've done as well, just to continue the debate, we've printed out the runners-up in each of the position categories as well. So what we're going to do in a moment is we're going to present with the people in the room and say, do we want to use our power of veto as the people on Social Club? Do we think there's any guys in here who deserve to be in there? And then we're going to look a little bit further on at who we feel of maybe of the current crop of Premier League players who could make their way into this team in the future. But before we get into it, the manager vote, we put the video out on Sunday, did gangbusters. And it was obvious that it was going to be Sir Alex Ferguson, who of course takes it, and Arsene Wenger as the runner-up. So yeah, without further ado, then what do we think of this team? Flav?
I think that's the exact team anyone should choose. Okay. I think it's amazing. It's a testament to our audience. No matter how, we are, of all the football channels on the internet, we're probably the most biased to our team.
Individually biased.
Yeah. And our fans are as well. And I love that because that's what football's all about. But despite that, we've got 3 Man United players. And you can't really argue with any of them.
Five.
Is it? Five United players.
One. I do this with my son. Count with me.
One. Yeah. 2,
Gary,
3, 4, 5. You're right, 5. So I mean, it's amazing.
Count them through.
5. All right, sorry.
You only do up to 5 that day.
Tune in next week for his 2 times tables. Yeah.
I was just staring at them 3 in the corner for some reason, but it is you can't argue with it. It's that good. That team would match almost any team in the history of football. I would say
it's a good point as well. That the same really biased fans have probably gone, what? Why isn't Stephen Pienaar in this team? And then I've gone, well, no, but I need to vote properly. They've still voted. I like that. I mean, that's when it gets to the end, a vote matters.
Well, it is true. There's only in a couple of categories was it even close as well. I think you're realistically looking at the striker one, and there was obviously some debate over that because we had to split them into 2 eras. And then what we did was we picked players who were right bang in the middle of those 2 eras, and that created loads of debate. But things like I think out of them, the ones where it was closest was at centre half, defensive midfield, attacking midfield, and then obviously in the forwards. Before we talk a little bit about those players though, is there anything that we think this team is lacking in any way, shape or form? Just what you would want from a team playing 4-4-2. Are there any weak spots within it?
If you can find a weak spot in the Premier League all-time best 11.
You've got high expectations here, though, haven't you?
No, absolutely.
Right. I think you have. I did that. This video, the right backs, and I bizarrely put Bella in as my choice. But the reason I did that was because there are no decent right backs in the entire Premier League era. I think if Kyle Walker plays the way that he has done this year for the next 3-4 years, then you can maybe say something like that.
But is Gary Neville in there simply because of the longevity factor and obviously the success, which you can't take away from him?
He was a fucking good right back, man. I think you're ignoring the fact.
He was a great right back. But do you know who ruined his career? Him. David Beckham ruined his career because for the first 3-4 years of his career, before Beckham was completely established on that right wing, he used to get down there. He was a great crosser of the ball, and then David Beckham turned up, and he just went, just gave a 5-yard pass. So it worked obviously, but
the thing for me,
he's slightly overrated.
There's the thing for me. We did this, and look, it's not totally a Liverpool point of view because I know Chris, if he was here, would shout me down on this. But I like Gary Neville, very, very good right back, very
steady,
good.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say. When I look at the players who play in these positions, at any given point in their careers, they were not just the best in the Premier League, they were best in the world. I don't think Gary Neville was ever the best right back in world football. And I think you look at, if you did a best La Liga 11 or a best Serie A 11, maybe, and probably even, a Bundesliga 11, he gets nowhere near any of those.
Yeah.
I think you're fair with some of the criticism because basically Gary and Phil, they were never the best naturally talented footballers, so they just worked extra hard in training. They were there longer hours, and Fergie loved it.
That's nice.
That's why he was the captain. That's why he got to where he was. But he was a fucking good right back. I think it's unfair to say that Beckham ruined his career. Their partnership was brilliant down the right. They helped make each other better players. So I think it's a little bit unfair to say that.
I think that in the era that he played as well, it's a position where you don't need, or it's not really asked of you to be anything better than steady. And that probably, now, he would just be really mediocre right back.
Would you say Ashley Cole was just steady though?
He had a bit more.
Yeah, he did have a bit more, yeah.
But just quickly on going over, it's quite hard to be steady over 600 games or whatever it is he played. He was consistent throughout that, and that is rare.
That is steady, isn't it? Consistent?
Yeah, but it's so difficult over that time to do it, to be consistent with it. Consistency in football is such a massive thing.
Plus,
Hazard was mediocre last season. This season he's amazing. So Gary Neville is an incredible right back.
He's the only non-world class player in that team. And now here's the thing. Our backup choice is Branislav Ivanovic.
That's it. That's a reflection of right back through the Premier League era for me.
Also a very, very good player, but not. Yeah, I mean, out of the two, it has to be Neville.
Okay. It has to be Neville, but I do think if you're picking a weak spot in that, if you rank them as in how great they were, he is last, isn't he?
It's just because he's not sexy.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, he's not sexy.
It was the goatee, wasn't it? It was the goatee, wasn't it?
What's wrong with goatees, eh?
That's it.
Gary, this is an ode to you. Not you, Dan.
Is there a, I mean, this might be a ridiculous shout, but if we're talking about team and we're talking about blend, imagine this is, if you're a youth, FIFA Ultimate Team, for example, and you've got the blend and the chemistry and what have you, is there something to having David Beckham on the right-hand side because of just how good that was as a unit down that?
Not over Ronaldo.
Down that side?
No.
Not. I mean, he would have done the exact same thing with him as he would have done with him. He would have still played that 5-yard pass to him.
No. They wouldn't have had much of a partnership together. Not in the same vein as they were telepathic, whereas Ronaldo is an individual player.
Well, here's a question for you, because that is a good question. What would be best for the team, playing Beckham or playing Ronaldo? And if you've got to play Neville?
I'm not sure there's any situation where when we first looked at this and looked at the right midfielders, I saw Beckham's name straight. I was like, Beckham. Then I took about 3 seconds and I was like, Ronaldo. And then I realised at a moment of clarity, you just can't not have Ronaldo. And this team it's built. You know, you're not getting past that defence. Those two central midfielders, you're really not getting it. So you're looking for individualism in the attacking positions in that team because the rest are just going to be solid, aren't they?
What about? Because this is a real team that's got to play real games of football. What about set pieces? Now we know Ronaldo can take free kicks.
Used to be able to.
Exactly. David Beckham, you know, you've got your corners, you've got your free kicks.
How many goals did he score?
Well, actually saying that, yeah. But there's the point I'm making is who's taking free kicks for this team?
Henry.
No, I think Giggs. Well, Giggs will take it on the right hand side, and Gerrard will take it on the left hand side.
I mean,
what's his name? Louis van Gaal.
Whipping it in.
I mean, I'm not sure they'd have to rely on set pieces.
Indirect free kicks. Yeah.
Question then.
It's a minefield.
Captain, probably captained. Captain.
Where are you going with this?
Who would be the captain?
Who is our captain?
I would say it's got to be
Tony Adams.
Yeah.
We've said about it. A lot of people were going, what about Tony Adams? What about Tony Adams?
Yeah, he was incredible.
I get it comes down to the fact of how, because football was a little bit different when he was right at the top of it. Mm-hmm. How important is the leadership of the centre backs? And if it is so important, is there in any way would you swap him with? I guess if you're going to swap with anyone, well, you've got two options. You go double leader, or you go. He's a better leader.
This is my thing. Did Tony Adams have anything that John Terry didn't?
I think John Terry's actually better. Is a much better footballer.
Yeah,
Tony Adams. I would say he's a better
leader. A lot of
leader.
goals as well.
I would say it'd be very difficult. If Adams was in there over Terry, I'd have no issue. I have no issue that Terry's over Adams. You couldn't swap him out for Rio Ferdinand because he can't play football in the way Ferdinand could in his prime. So as great as Adams was, I think again that centre back's fine. In terms of the captain, though, who would captain the side? Is that what the question you was asking?
That was the question I asked you.
Probably got to be. My instinct was to say Vieira.
Yeah, that's my instinct as well.
That was my instinct, but
Is that one of those things where you like, because you like your captain to be in that position, or is it because it's specifically Vieira?
I prefer. I don't know why, but I don't like goalkeepers as captains. But I'm not sure it makes much difference.
That's a bit.
But
It's a bit of a
there's probably no
shit thing to say.
Why?
Goalkeepers can be perfectly good captains.
Yeah, of course. Sorry, of course you can.
This turned personal.
Yeah, Ball Street FC, go and check it out. I was like, what have I done? But Vieira, Keane isn't. Where's Keane? Roy
He didn't make it, did
He
he?
didn't make it.
What?
Wasn't even second choice in the position.
Really?
Claude Makelele is the only one.
So there's only one of two players. I'm not sure why Keane isn't there, but there's only one or two players that should be there, and that's Vieira or Keane. And Vieira probably.
We couldn't have Makelele because you can't have short people as captains.
No, that's true.
Sure is it?
He's on the bench.
But John Terry would probably be my pick for the captain.
John Terry be your pick?
Yeah, probably.
That's
Yeah.
interesting.
To be honest, I'm the same. I liked Steven Gerrard as our captain, but Jamie Carragher was Liverpool's captain.
Yeah.
Really, Gerrard got it because it was a symbol. It meant something to him and helped keep him at the club. Whereas I always thought when your best player gets made your captain, it's normally a bargaining tool. It's normally a political play to say, look how important you are. Please stay with us a bit longer.
That's interesting.
Really good clubs at the top of the powers. But there are obviously exceptions to this, of course. But more often than not, if your centre half's not your captain, there tends to be something more at play there. I think.
What do you think?
What?
Who would you have as your captain?
I'm stuck between Terry and Vieira. I'm the exact same as Flav. I would probably. I'm just going to go Vieira and be different.
Do you know what?
Not really being different. It's already been said, but he would be a brilliant captain, and so would Terry.
It's tough, Sam.
They're all. There's no wrong answer
It's an
here.
incredible football team, really.
The thing is, I would go. He got sent off a lot.
Yeah, 10 times.
As brilliant as he was, on occasion let them down a little bit.
Yeah.
If I'm looking for a captain, I want someone who's going to drag you through.
I want someone who will never let anyone down on the pitch or off.
In a European Champions League semi-final. I'd go for him. I'd go for Gerrard. Because I think he's the one who dragged it, out of all of those, dragged the team through when you needed him. But I'd actually go for Gerrard.
Okay. Well, interesting that we'll put a poll on that in the corner screen. If you want to vote on who should be captain of John Terry, Steven Gerrard, Patrick Vieira, should we throw one more in for the sake of it?
I wonder. I've just.
Alan
No.
Shearer, there you go.
If
Roy
just a quick one for you, lot. If Beckham was on that pitch, would he be your captain?
No.
Really? Because
He's,
mine.
exactly what I was talking about with that.
Why?
I just.
I mean, it's great
Is
for
it-
England.
is it-
It's England versus Greece.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Justification
Just
for
that
everything.
game. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Speaking of dragging the team.
Everybody loves Beckham, right?
Just pulling it back, the only thing, of the players we've got here, and I only think there's two question marks of players that I would bring into this team. One of them is based on what we want from the team, and I remember what Robbie and Troops, in fact, were very keen to say about the Vieira thing. It was that he was not a holding midfielder. He was box to box. So do you make a case for Makelele to go, right, you put your actual destroyer in there, he lets everyone else do the things that
But
they
he's too short,
want to do.
Vieira wasn't a defensive midfielder, but that was just a purpose of naming a video, really, and they did get caught up in that. But the Vieira was enough of
I'm not
a
holding
giant,
that for Roy Keane's not.
colossus
Not even in this
defensively.
conversation.
So while he isn't a defensive midfielder and was a box-to-box midfielder, did more than his fair share in cleaning up and sweeping up and recycling play when it was necessary. Makelele is a specialist defensive midfielder. Vieira offers so much more. You can't replace him.
I'd agree. I'd think it's outrageous if you swap Vieira for
As good as he was.
Yeah, you're limiting your capabilities because he could do a lot of what Makelele could do, and he could do so much more that wasn't part of Makelele's game. So why would you lessen yourself?
Yeah. And do you remember Makelele's penalty the year they bossed the league? Because he was the only player who hadn't scored.
Oh, yeah, they
it was
did
the
it
most
right at the end.
pathetic thing I've ever seen. He loses points for that.
Just
Lack of goals.
Okay. Listen, if we're cool with it, it's fine. I'm just making a point, that maybe you come up against again your La Liga 11, and there's Ronaldinho roaming around in front of your back four. Are you trusting Vieira to do that?
Yeah.
To do that job?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, that's fine.
Not trusting him to make the tackle, right? It's exactly the same thing as Scholes, but I'll trust him to be there.
Yeah. Okay. And the only other one is that because we split the era of the centre forwards, I'll ask the question that if we had to go across the entirety of the Premier League, does Luis Suarez get in ahead of Alan Shearer? Now, I know top Premier League goal scorer of all time, but again, third best player in world football right now.
Can I answer that?
Go on.
I know. I think that you've got the best two strikers there, but these two, both of them, Suarez and Bergkamp, there would be minimal. This team would still be as effective as it is now.
Minimal.
There'll be a minimal impact, negative impact. There'll be minimal negative impact if both those team players are in there, and they would score bundles and absolute bundles. But look at what they did. If consistently, I know he is the third best, but he wasn't when he was at Liverpool. Maybe he was.
He was. Yeah.
Well,
and
that is subjective.
He's got 30 goals in his last season at Liverpool.
Well, Harry Kane's done it, so he's well class. Should we get into this now?
We're going to come on to that in a second.
Is there possibly a question mark over Suarez's temperament as well? That you might
A question mark?
Is there a question mark over it? Yeah. There is no question mark over it now.
Yeah,
he has a really bad temperament, yeah. No, look, as I say, the thing for me is that, look, Alan Shearer, terrific. And it's what Alan Shearer we're talking about. If we're talking about peak powers, we're probably talking about Blackburn Shearer, aren't we? More than anything, maybe just as he started to move to Newcastle. It's just the only thing about the Suarez is, I think, for them to modernise the team a little bit, it's just his work rate at the front. Alan Shearer, I'm not saying it didn't work, but he was a centre forward. When he was in his younger days, it was stick it through to him and he'd run on and he'd slot. In his older days, he was the target man, bringing people in. Luis Suarez, just the way he tears around the pitch and makes stuff happen. I wouldn't want to come up against. If you put you said this earlier, if you put the other players out in the team, and added one to make it an actual 11, because otherwise, if you had Luis Suarez in the other team, he could win. He could single-handedly win the game against his team.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, absolutely, there's a shout for it, but it's hard really to remove the hassle.
Okay. One final thing that we're going to discuss, something you wanted to throw in, Flav, presumably now we've seen behind the curtain here, it's because you want to talk about Harry Kane.
Well, no.
No,
I think my friend...
You want to talk about a number of Spurs players.
I was talking about it as if, because all of these are from essentially a past era. John Terry's at the end of his career. I'm not sure if any of them are still playing so Ronaldo moved on to pastures new. But...
Did you just have a moment there where you completely brushed over the fact that Ronaldo's absolutely at the peak?
It looks very different there, doesn't it?
That was pre-money. Premier League 11 rather than what they've done in Spain. Yeah. But I was thinking, are there any players in the Premier League now that you think by the end of their career that they have a shout of getting into this team? And all I would say is that Harry Kane, right, if he has to score 20 goals a season till he's 35 to match what Shearer did, which is madness, absolute madness. But if he does that, then you can't argue with it over Henry.
Yeah, if Lee Catamol for the next 10 years scores 59 goals every season, then he's got to be in there.
He's already started.
You can't say that.
That's a different point. I didn't make that point.
That is the point you made. You said if he does it every
There's flaws
year
in your hypothesis.
The last 3 seasons he's done it. Yeah. Lee Catamol's never done anything.
These things are generational, aren't they? The only thing with the Shearer things, I almost think that he will... maybe in like 10 years' time, when the next generation of Ball Street's revisiting this video. No. But the Shearer thing will be too far in the past for it to be relevant enough. But because no one's ever going to break his goal scoring record, and people are very unlikely to do it, maybe. Very unlikely to do it. Is that he's almost set in stone that he'll be in that forever, almost like Kai Neville right back, if I'm honest. Not in the same way, because I think Shearer thoroughly deserves to be there. But the point I'm getting to is that Sergio Aguero for me is the one that I think will go in there. I think he's been an absolute goal machine. I think he's been the best centre forward in the world whilst he's been out and out centre forward. Whilst he's been at Manchester City almost season on season. But could he break into that team? Who's voting against Thierry Henry and Alan Shearer?
I think so much of this is about when they've retired, and then there's a little bit of time to settle, and then you look back and you think, they were really good. And Aguero now is because you're expecting him. If he's in a bad form, you kind of forget about it. So you're right. I mean, when you look back and look at what Aguero did, maybe he would have a shot.
And similar to the goalkeeper, though, you could say David De Gea. David De Gea is never going to win the trophies that guy won. He's never going to come close to Peter Schmeichel, because if Van der Sar can't get in the head of Peter Schmeichel, what's that? You know what I mean? This is the. I'm not sure there's many modern players who are going to be able to break into that.
It's such a global game now that if you get good enough, Real Madrid come call in or Barcelona come call in, all of these guys, obviously apart from him, but he's one of the greatest footballers of all time, have spent a huge chunk of their career in the Premier League. He now would probably go to Real Madrid or whatever.
Yeah.
So with the players in the future, like Hazard, he'll probably go to Real Madrid, and so his stats won't match up.
So this is it. This will never change.
No, do you know what? One question I wanted to ask is, we've obviously got our runners-up. Is if you forget that for a second, these guys here, is there anyone here you would want to twist the formation a bit and find a way to get them in the team?
Oh, come on, Paul Scholes. Right, I know the whole Gerrard Scholes argument. If we blew in fucking teeth doing that, but
Blue in the teeth.
Blue in
Blue in
the
the teeth. Yeah.
damn it, I've done it again.
Long in the leg. We'll be arguing this shit.
It wasn't even funny until you said, damn it, I've done it.
Anyway, just Paul Scholes. I don't know how you would have to bring in someone like Makelele to play alongside him, because you know what Scholes is going to be like. He will be there tackling, getting sent off in yellow cards, but he was the crafter. You know, he started off as a striker in the Premier League, which not many people remember, and he actually just drifted deeper and deeper. So I'm not even sure what position you put him in. I'd probably say he's an attacking mid, in the same vein as Gerrard, but it's like for like. Whether you, apart from Leighton fucking Baines, I don't know how he's on the bench, but that's a severe lack of options there. No offence to Everton fans.
I'll tell you what I would do. I'd take out Gary Neville.
Yeah.
And I'd take out Ashley Cole. I'd play 3 at the back with Adams.
Yeah, that's what I would do.
I would then introduce probably Luis Suarez to that front line.
Yeah, that's almost exactly what
Is that what you do? I'd try and find a way of putting.
Although that is
do it your way.
massively attacking, because Ronaldo really should be in that front line. So
3-4-3.
kind of, yeah, but Ronaldo's a little bit. No, fuck it, you could do it. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll be okay with that team.
You know what? I think I agree with that. If I'm honest, I'd maybe.
Mike Bassett is turning in his grave. You just got rid of 4-4-2 and you've introduced some European 3-4-3 into the Premier League all time.
It's a
vote
bit
now,
modern, aren't we?
Yeah.
And it also increases the chance of Sergio Aguero getting in at some point as well in the future.
And let's be honest, if you're looking at all the positions where we actually missed key players out of, you just got an abundance of. No one's even mentioned Van Nistelrooy.
Yeah.
And he was ridiculous.
It's a damn shame, isn't it? Because Ashley Cole is one of the few guys who, without a shadow of it, completely and utterly nailed that spot. I'll name a better left back, who there's ever been, really, and he's in there with that upper class of left backs in the history of football. But I look.
I mean,
I would put in.
That might struggle defensively. That
Can I try? Can I try change it?
Maybe
They'll
not
win
the pace of the
7-6.
bar.
It's
Yeah.
fine.
Go on.
Hang on. I'd give us Scholes. I'd put Henri over here, if I can.
You're really going to go to the full length here, aren't you?
Yeah, sorry.
You're going 4-2-4, yeah?
I'd put Ronaldo up here, and I'd get rid of Giggs. Hang on, I've got too many. No, I'd get rid of Giggs and I'd have Scholes, I think.
What's gone on here then?
If I look at my low on players. Hang on.
I don't understand what you've.
And there you have it.
3-3-3 formation.
Yeah,
Excellent.
3-3-3.
Gigs.
Hang on, what have I done?
You're ruining the video.
I'm ruining the video.
You've basically taken a good team and made it look really shit. No, it's just
Great team there.
this feels.
This is the end.
I really
Proving
thought
how tough it is.
Yeah,
We've all had a bit of a nightmare. Haven't we?
I love that. I love that moment where I thought he's on to something. He's been working something out here. This could really turn the video on its head.
No.
That is not it. So
Yeah, defo. There we go.
Yeah, it's Scholes in the left
Put
back.
it back to the original.
Yeah, let's put it back to original so that that nightmare ends.
That is the all-time greatest Premier League 11. Thank you very much for watching us on this series. Thank you very much to everyone who cast the vote week in, week out. If you disagree with anything, if you think there's any changes you'd like to see made, please let us know in the comments below. And we want suggestions going forward. We've got some ideas. Don't worry, we're not panicking. We're not panicking that this series is over. We've not milked this one at all. No, it's fine. Let us know suggestions for ongoing series on the Friday slot in the comments section below. But from next week, we're going to be building up. We're going to start to build our team of the season. As the Premier League draws to an end for the 16-17 season, we're going to decide who are the best players and where they fit into a team. And then ultimately, will they make it to this team? No, they won't. Because we've decided that's the best team.
Maybe a
forever.
greatest 9. Greatest instead of greatest 11.
Yeah,
I'll be brilliant at that.
You picked 10 players.
10 to be fair.
I was trying to get that right.
So anyway, thanks
Go
very
and stand
much.
behind there. Go and stand behind there.
Get
Go
out.
on.
Thanks very much for watching. Subscribe to Ball Street by
Stop making
clicking
noise.
the emblem on the screen. And if you've missed any part of the season you want to go back and check it out, you can do. The playlist is here. Click it, watch it, and love it. And we'll see you next week.